On April 13th, 1977, at an abandoned farmhouse near Edmonton, Canada, Charlie McLeod and his wife were searching for a septic tank to retrieve a pump. What they found instead was a scene so horrifying that they could not have imagined it in their worst nightmares, and a mystery that would endure for over 44 years. Today we'll be discussing Gordon Sanderson, formerly known as Septic Tank Sam, his death, the investigation, and his eventual identification. When Charlie McLeod peered into that septic tank, there's no way he could have been prepared for what would confront him. What he saw was a disembodied human foot floating in a foul-smelling, gooey liquid. His immediate reaction was, of course, to notify the police, who duly attended the scene. They were, though, not properly equipped to drain the tank, and as such had to empty it by hand, slowly scooping it all out using ice cream pails that they had found nearby. One cannot even begin to imagine what those officers must have felt, forced in a dingy, confined space to stare, to smell, and to toss out decayed human flesh. It was clear to them from the start that they were dealing with a murder, but it was only after an autopsy did it become clear how awful his death had been, and how depraved his killer or killers were. The autopsy revealed that the victim had been mercilessly tortured. He was tied up, beaten, burned with blowtorches and cigarettes, then perhaps most harrowingly, sexually mutilated so severely that it took police months to positively identify whether his body was that of a male or female. The medical examiner could not confirm but suspected that this act had been carried out with a pair of farm shears. Despite all this violence, he survived. What finally ended this poor man's life was 2 gunshots to his head and to his chest. Unfortunately, the case was doomed from the beginning. The police had no suspect, no motive, no identity, no solid facts. They thought the victim was white, 23 to 32 years old, but even this they couldn't be sure of. Eventually, some theories did begin to take shape, but they made the chance of catching the killer or killers even smaller. Investigators suspected he was a migrant worker, not even from the same province, Alberta, where the murders took place. They also believed he had been murdered by someone he knew, based on the severity of his injuries. This was not a spontaneous or practical murder. It was not from a drunken brawl or a criminal hit. It was vindictive and torturous. Some argue that the killer must have been local, otherwise how would they know about the abandoned septic tank where his body was dumped? A promising lead formed when it was discovered he had extensive dental work done. The hope was that he might be identified through dental records, but even this led to nothing. Tragically, it seemed those who took his life would never be brought to justice. He would never be identified. Another unknown soul in an unnamed grave. And not long ago, this story would have ended here. However much we all wished for closure, we couldn't have it. Thankfully, through the genuine miracle of modern technology, we can identify who he is. He was publicly identified on the 30th of June 2021. Through a partial DNA sample, he was linked to his sister who had reported him missing in the 80s. 44 years after the search began, Septic Tank Sam reclaimed his true identity. He is Gordon Edwin Sanderson, known as Gordy to his friends. I will tell you what little I can find out about his life. It's important we remember he was a real, thinking, feeling human being. We simply cannot reduce him down to a prop piece in a YouTube video. Gordy was born on October 22nd, 1950 in Manitoba, Canada. He was Indigenous, contrary to the first examiner's report who had said he was Caucasian. He was separated from his family at 9 years old as part of a series of Canadian policies called the 60s Scoop. Indigenous children were taken by child services and put into white foster families. He struggled with drug use throughout his life. He was involved in crime and had several encounters with the law through his years. Whatever he did in life, I think we all know he deserved far better than what he got. The perpetrators may or may not be brought to justice, but Gordy, I hope you find some peace now that we know your name. This video is dedicated to you and every other unidentified soul across the world. Finally, while this is absolutely a long shot, if you have any information pertaining to the killing of Gordy, I encourage you to get in contact with the police. I'll leave information down below on how you can speak to them. This was a fairly grim video, but nonetheless I hope you at least found it interesting. If you did, please consider liking the video, subscribing, or following me on social media. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, Enza.